It was one of those crisp Colorado mornings in Pine Ridge Estates, where the foothills air tasted like freedom, and a fat cutthroat trout was putting up a hell of a fight right in the pond that touched my back fence. Then came the clip-clop of power heels and the voice that could curdle fresh cream. Ryan Callahan, that is a direct violation of HOA Covenant 14B, unauthorized use of shared community water feature. I didn't even turn around at first. Morning, Patty. Funny, my property survey says this water feature is 62% mine. You want a copy, or should I just keep reeling? Patricia Patty Voss, queen of Pine Ridge Estates and self-appointed guardian of every blade of grass, planted her manicured fists on her hips. The board voted last month. No fishing without a $50 annual permit and written approval. You're getting cited. $450. Pay it or we lien your house. She slapped the pink violation notice on my dock railing like it was a death warrant and marched off, clipboard bouncing like a weapon of mass irritation. I paid nothing. Instead, I drove straight to the county recorder's office in Denver, pulled every plat map, and grinned so hard the clerk asked if I'd won the lottery. The pond wasn't shared community amenity. It was split 5 ways, and my slice included the entire western shoreline plus the little cove where I always fished. My buddy who does real estate law took one look and laughed. Ryan, you could host a regatta and Patty couldn't touch you. Legally, this pond is basically your swimming pool with extra steps. So I built a proper dock, pressure-treated lumber, solar lights for Adirondack chairs. Slapped up a hand-painted sign, Callahan's Foothills Fishing Hole. Day pass $20. Cash or Venmo. HOA board members, please present your overreach permit first. Within 3 days, retirees, dads with kids, even the mail carrier were lining up. Business was brisk, the pond was happy, and for the first time in years the neighborhood felt normal. Patty lost her mind. For mornings later, I woke to the sound of a backhoe beeping on my grass. Orange vest crew unloading chain-link panels. Safety barrier, their foreman mumbled. HOA order. Liability. I stepped outside in slippers, coffee in hand. Morning, fellas. Whose property you think you're on? He checked his clipboard. Says common area 11 to 45. I held up my phone with the county GIS map zoomed in. That's my deed. You're trespassing. Pack it up before I call the sheriff and make your Monday worse. They loaded everything back in 10 minutes flat, muttering about crazy homeowner. I smiled, waved, and mounted 2 game cameras, one on the big pine, one under the dock eave. If they wanted war, I'd have receipts. That night an unmarked envelope showed up on my porch. No return address. Inside, 1 black USB stick. I plugged it in expecting ransomware. What I got was pure gold, grainy footage from a hidden camera inside the HOA clubhouse meeting room. Patty and 3 board members sitting around a table like mob bosses. We forged the boundary line on the next county submission, she hissed. Once it's community property, we fine him into foreclosure, then quietly sell access rights to that developer who's been texting me. Another clip. Her brother-in-law's shell company getting wired $18,400 labeled pond maintenance. That never happened. The room went dead silent when she added, Ryan's little fishing shack is in the way of progress. We take it all. I forwarded every file to the county zoning investigator before sunrise. By lunch, Marta Rivera from Code Enforcement was on my dock sipping coffee and shaking her head. She submitted altered surveys with your signature forged. That's felony falsification of public record. The sheriff's office rolled in next. Deputy Langford watched the footage twice, mustache twitching. Conspiracy, fraud, attempted theft of real property. We're opening a full case. The emergency HOA meeting that Friday was standing room only. Patty stood at the front in a blazer 2 sizes too confident, clutching bylaws like holy scripture. There's been a slight misunderstanding with county records, she began, voice dripping fake concern. We're cooperating fully while continuing to protect our beautiful community standards. I stood up without being called. Standards? Like forging maps so you could steal my shoreline and funnel HOA dues to your brother-in-law's fake landscaping company. I held up my phone and hit play. The hidden camera audio filled the room. Patty's own voice saying the pond was too valuable to leave with that redneck and his bait buckets. Gasps. Then murmurs. Then full-blown shouting. Patty's face went the color of cheap rose left in the sun. That footage is illegally obtained. You're out of order. I smiled. No, Patty. You're out of office. The petition for recall started circulating before the meeting even ended. 78% of homeowners signed within 6 days. Patty and her inner circle were voted out in a special election that felt more like a public execution. But the real hammer dropped when the state attorney general's office joined the party. Turns out the pond beautification checks weren't the only ones. Over $127,000 in HOA funds had vanished into Voss Family Holdings LLC, registered to Patty's cousin in a Denver suburb. They had plans drawn up to carve the entire shoreline into luxury townhomes once they forced me out. Wire fraud, conspiracy, real estate fraud, racketeering. The indictment read like a grocery list of every dirty trick they'd tried. The day the cuffs came out was glorious. News vans lined the street while Patty was walked out in a raincoat over her head, screaming about political persecution. Her brother-in-law was arrested at DIA, trying to board a flight to Cancun with a suitcase full of cashier's checks. Local paper ran the mugshots front page. Pine Ridge Estates trended on every Colorado subreddit with the caption, "When the Karen becomes the cautionary tale." The new board, mostly folks who'd fished off my dock, rewrote the covenants in plain English. Term limits, public budgets, mandatory third-party audits, and a crystal-clear rule that no one can redraw private property lines without every affected owner's notarized consent. They even dissolved the old enforcement committee. Problems now go to mediation first, not fines first. Me? I kept the dock open. Weekdays are free. Weekends still $15, but every penny goes into a community fund for new benches, trail repairs, and a little library box stocked with fishing guides. Kids pin their biggest catches on the corkboard. Retirees trade stories under the solar lights. The pond isn't just mine anymore. It finally belongs to everyone the right way. Last month a state senator called asking for input on a new HOA reform bill. I told him the same thing I tell every neighbor who thanks me. I didn't set out to start a revolution. I just wanted to fish without paying a toll to a lady who thinks the Constitution stops at her clipboard. So tell me, true or false, the HOA president was simply enforcing reasonable community rules to keep things civilized, or did her greedy power trip turn her into the biggest rule breaker of all, until karma dropped the net and reeled her in for good? Drop your answer below. I'm reading every single one while I bait my next hook.